In this world, there exists a kind of vampire. They can transform into the appearance of humans, and lurk in many corners of the city, waiting for an opportunity to prey on humans. Consequently, mysterious disappearances occur every day in the city, leaving many people in a state of fear and panic. Even the gorgeous and popular geisha-like women are on the verge of unemployment. The government has not revealed the truth about vampires to the public. Instead, they have dispatched their most powerful ace, Saya, to eliminate the vampires. Armed with a samurai sword, she can effortlessly take down even the strongest vampire. One day, Saya's superior, David, assigned her a new mission. 2 vampires had infiltrated a school, and under David's arrangement, Saya assumed the role of a transfer student to smoothly enter the school. Through constant investigation, she eventually discovered something unusual in the school's infirmary. There was a strong smell of blood lingering there. Even though the bloodstains on the floor had already been cleaned, she knew that this was the place where the vampires often fed. Meanwhile, 2 students suddenly requested leave from their teacher, claiming that the white-haired girl was feeling unwell and possibly experiencing anemia, so they needed to hurry to the infirmary. Saya noticed everything. It was evident that these 2 female students were the vampires lurking in the school. Their so-called anemia was simply hunger. Just as the white-haired girl was about to attack the school nurse, Sharon, Saya burst through the door. The other vampire, whose arm was severed by Saya, quickly jumped out of the window and escaped. Since Saya's samurai sword suddenly broke, she urgently needed a new weapon. She quickly arrived at an antique shop, forcefully borrowing a precious sword from there. Meanwhile, Sharon had just regained her senses, and saw a monster's corpse lying on the bed, perhaps due to the shock. She followed the bloodstains on the ground, intending to find the other vampire. Finally, she discovered the vampire's trace in the ballroom. Fortunately, Saya arrived just in time, and swiftly slashed at the vampire. However, to her surprise, the precious sword turned out to be a fake. Taking advantage of the situation, the vampire kicked Saya away, and then took Sharon to a hidden location, preparing to drain her blood. Little did the vampire know, Saya was waiting behind the door. Saya urged Sharon to escape quickly. On the way, they encountered a police officer. Sharon told the officer that a monster had appeared in the school. The officer followed her hesitantly, not fully convinced. However, in the next moment, the officer was seized by a monster that leaped from a tree branch. Sharon was petrified, frozen in place. Suddenly, a flying knife whizzed past, and Saya arrived just in time to save her. She instructed her to stay close. They made their way to a nearby warehouse. Saya handed a handgun to Sharon, ensuring she could defend herself in dangerous situations. Meanwhile, Saya searched frantically and finally found a suitable weapon, an iron shovel. Only a weapon capable of causing significant bleeding would have a chance to kill a vampire completely. Suddenly, the warehouse door was locked by the vampire, and the power was cut off. The vampire broke through the window on the roof. Sharon, frightened, screamed and fired her gun. Although she didn't hit the monster once, she accidentally hit an oil drum nearby, causing a violent explosion. In the intense explosion, the vampire was burned to a crisp. Just then, another vampire appeared, and Saya's superior, David, arrived as well. Saya asked him to find a way to open the door and bring her samurai sword. Saya, unarmed and defenseless, was no match for the monster. Quickly, she was overpowered and pinned down to the ground. Sharon, in desperation, raised the gun to her own temple, but with Saya's reminder, Sharon once again found hope. She drove a jeep straight into the warehouse door, opening it, while David managed to deliver Saya's samurai sword. Everything came to a close, but suddenly, a roar echoed from the rooftop. There was another vampire present, and this vampire was an evolved form. It had grown wings. It quickly fled from the scene. At the same time, a plane was about to take off. If the vampire boarded the plane, it would successfully escape. Saya and Sharon, driving the jeep, pursued relentlessly from behind. Just as the vampire was about to reach the plane, Saya skillfully swung her samurai sword. Finally, putting an end to everything, this vampire was also the last one in the world. Saya looked at the vampire's anguished expression, and ultimately felt compassion. She then dripped her own blood into the vampire's mouth, allowing it to die without suffering. With the extinction of the last vampire, they became nothing more than legends in human society. However, in a certain archive, there was a black and white photograph The person depicted in the photograph was Saya, and it was taken in 1892. This photograph was part of a file titled Vampires.